Holy crap. Internet people, crazy. Like, honestly, it is insane that over 100 different people have come to support us here at Unbeatable. This last year and a half have been absolutely wild and incredible, and I just want to thank you guys so much for supporting us. Since it's been just over a year since we launched our Patreon, me and the rest of the cast have decided to give it a look over and try and adjust some things on our Patreon to make it an even more amazing place to spend your time, as well as make our content a little bit more interesting and accessible. So let's start with the fun stuff, Patreon tiers. We're going to be expanding our Patreon tiers to better reflect the content that we're able to put out now, since we've gained a lot of experience over that year. Starting at the first tier, the trainer tier, this is where all of our supporters who enjoy the show and just want to talk to us are. And for the most part, that tier is not changing. Trainers will still have access to the episodes of the podcast a week early, and they get access to our Unbeatable Discord, where our community is constantly popping off about like new episodes, their home games, rule discussions, and bread. Just bread. Also, I should mention here that all of our tiers are cumulative, so anything that I mention in one tier is going to be available at all of the ones above it. Just so you know, I don't have to say it every single time, but just know that everything in the trainer tier is going to be in all the next ones as well. Next up is the gym leader tier, where we've attempted to give our patrons more access to our game by posting our character sheets and game stats. It turns out that when you are constantly iterating a game, it gets really, really hard to keep consistent sheets, especially since we've changed how our episode recordings and season recordings have gone by a lot. So we are still working on getting that information across, and that might take us a little bit. But as sort of an apology for that, we have decided to move the entire backlog of our professor's logs and beta documents to the gym leader tier. For those of you who don't know, there's a monthly blog that I, the professor, did leading up to our beta test, where I discussed some of our early design philosophies of the game and included all of those relevant rules in the documents. And while some of those rules have been updated since then, people apparently still really like reading that stuff. And yeah, we've moved all of that to our gym leader tier. Next up is our previously biggest tier. That's called foreshadowing. The champion tier. Patrons at this level still have access to our old rules documents that we released, but most importantly, this is where you will be able to find the most current set of rules for Unbeatable. Everyone who took part in our December beta test worked really hard to iron out some of the kinks in that system. So there have been a ton of rules that only those patrons have seen, and even some that haven't even appeared in the podcast yet. Also at this tier, we're going to be starting to shout out one random champion or above patron on every single piece of content that we make. Speaking of, thank you, Blade Kelly, for being a champion tier sponsor. We literally could not make this show without you. Well, not this show, because it's like a one-off episode. Finally, at this tier is where our patrons get access to the Q&A forums in our Discord, where they can ask questions to our cast and have them answer them on video. We are going to be changing up the format of how we answer those questions, but stay tuned to the end of the video to see where that's going, because there's an announcement at the end. Now, I mentioned earlier that we're going to be adding in another tier.
That's called foreshadowing.
And to be honest, getting real for a second, this tier did take a lot of discussion at our production meetings because we weren't sure how we wanted to handle it. It feels weird to make a patron tier where there won't be any additional rewards or benefits. Some of you people are just really crazy and you really just want to support us on our journey, and you keep asking us to give us more money? And since that's the case, we figured we could at least give you guys a title. Our Pokemon Master tier is our $15 tier. It's brand new, and it's if you guys have that much money to kick our way for a month, yeah, go for it there. Like, the least we could do is recognize how freaking awesome you are. It is functionally identical to the Champion tier, but it does come with like a cooler Discord icon and title, but like, it's really just for those people who want to support us at that level and is by no means required. But that's all of our Patreon announcements, and since those are the only changes we're making...
Okay, Bowie, did you override the firewall with a Porygon or something? Anyway, hey gang, it's me, Matt, the guy who plays Seth in Unbeatable. As you can see, we're doing all these different updates with our Patreon, and I was able to sneak in an extra tier. We're calling it the Slowpoke tier, the Slowpoke tail tier. Something Slowpoke related, like the video game, where there's the tail that's very expensive and there really shouldn't be a reason for you to buy it. But we did it, and it's a tier here. There are no guarantees of what that is gonna entail, and get it, there's a pun there. It's just there if you wanna do it. So, hard work, did a lot of hacking. I'm really good at technology. Me, Seth Wake, I've never rolled a bad technology check in my life. And with that, I'm hacking back out. See you later.
Well, anyway, that's all of our Patreon changes, and I really appreciate every single one of you for being one of the most fantastic communities that any degenerate like myself could ask for. And to be clear, whether or not you're able to support us on Patreon, we appreciate every single person who shows up, watches our videos, comments on our page, or passes even a link off to their friends. You're all pretty awesome. And last but not least, I did mention that we were going to be changing how our Q&As work. Basically, you've seen that before. We do sort of a monthly video where we go in and we answer a bunch of questions, but we want to kind of liven that up, keep it fresh. So we're going to be trying out a couple of different formats over the next few months, and you're going to want to keep an eye out for those announcements here on YouTube or on our Patreon or on our Discord over the next few months. The first thing that we're trying out is going to be happening this Wednesday, April 24th at 6:30 p.m. EST, where we're going to be unveiling the Unbeatable Community Hour live stream. Basically, we're going to have a couple of members of the cast show up and chill while one of us is going to play some Pokemon and the rest are going to be trying to answer your guys' questions. And we're just excited to see everybody who pops into the chat, even if you just swing by to say hi. And I think that's everything. Yeah, I think it is. And I'm getting a little tired of hearing my own voice, so I really just want to toss it back to you guys, the patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, and don't forget to stay unbeatable. We are unbeatable.
We are unbeatable. We'll train until we meet our goal. The stakes are high, no, we won't fold because we are unbeatable. We are unbeatable. We'll train until we meet our goal. If stakes are high, no, we won't fold because we are unbeatable.
I realize now that if Aaron doesn't add any cool visual effects to this, I'm going to look pretty dumb. So I don't think I actually will end that way. Stay unbeatable.